Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses. Let's just dive right into this. Today I'm going to be telling you about somebody sent me their resume. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'm just going to give some of the tips that I would use on my resume to stuff that basically I just do things that work for me. I I do not have a problem getting a job, and it's because I just know what to put on the resume. I know what employers are looking for. I know what technical recruiters are wanting. I've done interviews before. I really have a strong idea of what this market wants. So I'm going to walk you through that, what you're looking here on the screen. Then what we're going to talk about is a question somebody asked me a question about ACAS, which if you don't know what that is, it's Nessus. It's a vulnerability scanner is what it is. So let's start off with this resume. And these are just my tips, guys. Obviously, there's so many different awesome cybersecurity people out there who can give you more tips. And I hope that they can chime in and help us out here. But this is just my perspective and things that I have used. So you're looking at a resume that I've obviously changed the names to protect the innocent. All locations, job, all the locations, the job titles, all that stuff has been changed so that we can disguise, who it really is, and we don't accidentally dox somebody or something. So obviously they put their name up here up top. One of the first things that I do whenever I can is I put my strongest certification or my strongest title or whatever right up top. So here, for example, I think they have a Security Plus. So yeah, Security Plus looks like their strongest. It looks like their strongest certification, their most marketable certification. So I would just go ahead and put that right up top. Security Plus, if I could spell. Security Plus. So you put your name and then put Security Plus right after that. Or if you have a CISSP, you would put that. Whatever is your strongest certification or degree or whatever you have, you would put it up top. I would make this a little bit smaller too. That's another thing I would do. No need to make it too big. All right, this doesn't have to look pretty. One thing you'll notice about these resumes that I put out here, I don't go out of my way to make them look pretty. I'm more about the content, and the reason why I don't care so much about what it looks like unless I'm in front of the person. Like if I'm going to do an in-person interview, yes, I would bring a formatted, pretty resume or whatever. But most of the time, people these days, especially in our field, in IT, in technical fields, in cybersecurity, they're looking online. They're going to find you 9 times out of 10 online. So what matters most is the content, not so much. I mean, as you can see, this formatting is really messed up. This is not the person who gave me this didn't do this. I did this. I converted their resume from a PDF to a .doc on Google Drive. So that's why it looks like this. But for now, I want you to just ignore the formatting and focus on the content. That's what we're going to focus on. So right up top, right by the name, I would put a certification. Your highest certification is what you should do. If you have a master's degree, you might want to put that up there as well. And then right underneath that, they put the title that they're going for. And this is what I do too. Now, this is just to kind of set all this up. This is a person who is a normal IT person. They've done help desk, they've done IT technician, they've done support type roles, and they're trying to break into cybersecurity. So if you're trying to do that, if this is you, then here's some tips for you, okay? So they put the job that they want right up top. And that's how I do it too. So that's actually a really good, effective way to do this. They put entry-level security analyst. They might even just want to just say security analyst. But entry-level security analyst, that's fine. As long as you're putting something up here up top. You might want to put the buzzword of the day is cybersecurity analyst or information security analyst or something like that. Information security is a really good keyword. Buzzword. Cyber security analyst is another good buzzword. So we're going to put that. We're going to leave that up top. And the reason why we do this is, again, when we start putting this stuff on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on all the other job aggregates out there. We want as many keywords as possible. We're already leading really strongly with Security Plus right up top and Cybersecurity right up top as well for the title that we want, that we're seeking. Now, just a note on this, if you've never done any IT at all, it's a real stretch for you to put something like cybersecurity analyst up here. Okay. If you've never touched a firewall and you don't have any firewall experience at all on your resume, and you put entry-level firewall engineer, it's a real stretch for you to put that there. You have no experience. The reason why this person can put this here is because they actually have IT experience, and some of the stuff that they've done is cybersecurity. So it's a little bit of a reach, but they can pull this off. So this is the job that they're going for. So they put this up here. That's fine. So let's remember, don't reach too far. You can reach, but don't reach too far. All right, so let me just, I usually center this, but you don't have to. That's what I do. Right up top, people normally put some kind of a summary. This is a really good opportunity to put as many keywords in here as possible. So they said working hard and diligent individual with 3 years of IT experience, looking to use skills I have developed over the years to kickstart my career in security analyst. So, all right, so this right here, I would save this to the end, and I would stuff it with keywords. That's what I would do. I would put something like McAfee endpoint protection specialist, working with major corporate entities to install BitBlocker. Like, I would just stuff it with a bunch of keywords. That's what you want to do. That's what I do, and it's worked for me. All right, so we'll come back to this. For now, let's get into these skills here. So skills is something you can put up here. I typically don't put this up top, but you can. There's nothing wrong with that. And the formatting's jacked up, but let's ignore that for now and just focus on the content. And then they said technical skills consist of McAfee endpoint protection, BitBlocker, drive encryption, basic understanding of tools like Wireshark, SolarWinds, Splunk, Active Directory. And if you can get away with saying something like, this is kind of weak right here, basic understanding of tools like, I would say something like experience. I would say something like experience user, or something like well, if you're not a specialist, you don't want to put that in there. If you're not an expert, you don't want to put that in there. But what can we say that we've used this before, that we know how to use it? Familiar with, you could say that. But I would say experience with security tools such as Wireshark, SolarWinds, Splunk, Active Directory. No, this is a separate sentence. So, but you're telling them, hey, I have skills in security tools, and you might even want to put cybersecurity tools. So you see how any chance I get, I'm trying to put keywords in there. I'm cheating with cybersecurity tools such as, and we could say, but not limited to, and then Wireshark, SolarWinds, Splunk, and then name a few other ones. And obviously, if you don't have experience with it, you probably want to say familiar with or something, which when you say that, it kind of denotes that you don't have experience with it, But in my personal opinion, the most important thing is to get it on your resume, to list it as because it's a keyword. All right, I'm not going to mess around with the formatting, so forgive how ugly this looks right here. Let's just stick with the content. So in the next sentence, they say Active Directory, Group Policy, SCCM, and Event Viewer. So they're kind of just listing off a whole bunch of stuff here. So I think maybe what they need to do is do a spell check and a Grammarly check. The grammar on this is really bad, and so one thing you don't want to do on a resume. Now I know I just got through saying, don't worry about the formatting, whatever, right? One thing you do not want to do, you definitely want to check, is spell check. You want to do a spell check and you want to do a grammar check, because this right here it went right into a whole list of other security tools, and it went period and then another group of security tools. So they made a mistake here, but that's fine. Other skills, interpersonal skills. They said interpersonal skills, fast learner, extremely flexible, strong team player, critical thinking skills. Where this really comes in, when you get into interpersonal skills, it's fine to put those on there, but where these really sell you is when you're doing the interview. I've noticed whenever I mention interpersonal skills on interviews, they get really excited about that. And I have yet to not win an interview, to succeed in an interview where I mentioned my interpersonal skills. If I mention that I work really well with difficult customers, gets them every time. If I say, I don't know everything, but I rely on my team to supplement my knowledge, I'm a team player, right? That's another way of saying I'm a team player. So the reason why interpersonal skills are so important is because a lot of us IT guys don't have these kind of interpersonal skills, unfortunately. So if you have these things, if you know how to speak, if you're not afraid to speak in public, if you can deal with difficult customers, that goes a really long way. So just keep that in mind. That said, you can put them on your resume as well. Okay. Certifications, they list a bunch of certifications: A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, ITIL, LPI, Linux Essentials, and then they mention, this is a really good one, interim security clearance. Always put your security clearance. That's really good. Definitely list whatever security clearance you have. Jay says that interpersonal skills block needs to go. Turn those into actionable statements that you've done on the job. It's pure fluff. Everyone says the same exact thing. Use the space up. So I would say it's okay to use it, but I would agree that it would be better to use it in your actual in your work history, like as an actionable statement. That would work a little bit better. But where these really sell, like I said, is in the interview itself. If you're in the interview, that's where you want to really go into how you work with others, right? Because they'll also pick up on it. When you're talking to them, they'll see your communication skills are good. And that's the thing, you want to rehearse it before you even get the interview. You'll know when the interview's coming, right? So before you do that, go through your resume and actually perform the resume, right? In front of the mirror, if you have to. Perform the resume and ask yourself the questions, right? And then practice how you respond to each one of the questions that they might ask. And then also go through the job title, go through the requirements, and answer how you have done those requirements. That's what you want to. That's what I do. I look at this job like, right, I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me. So what I'll do is I'll look at their requirements and I will say, okay, let's say the requirement is you must have 3 years of Active Directory experience, right? So I would then practice when I'm looking in the mirror or whatever, or with my wife or whoever, right? I'll practice with them or just by myself and say, okay, well, sir, I have 3 years of Active Directory experience. I've created group policies on large networks and small networks as well in 2 different environments. I would just practice saying how I meet each one of the requirements on their description. So that's just one thing that a little tip for you. All right, I'm just going to only do one of these. I'm not going to spend too much time on all of these things right here. I just want to see if I can break this up. So right away, I'm seeing some problems here. So you don't want to have this kind of stuff on your resume. So he has the wrong there. You want to definitely do a spell check on your resume. I mean, honestly, people can forgive formatting. IT guys, we're technical. The resume doesn't have to look pretty, but if the grammar is really bad, and some people can't look past that. So if the grammar's bad, if you haven't taken the time to spell check it, some people are going to be thinking to themselves, employers are going to be thinking, well, this guy didn't even take the time to look through their own resume. He didn't even take the time. They're not meticulous. They're not paying attention to detail. I have a problem with that. Next resume, right? Don't do it. This is an easy fix. The easy fix is run spell check. Run spell check. Look, tools, spelling and grammar. I mean, this is an easy win. Look at this. Change, accept. There. It's literally, now this one's, we can ignore that one. But look how many things that, you got to fix the spelling and grammar. You can't, you got to do it. Like, take the time, that one extra step, maybe even let somebody read it for you, like a friend of yours or a coworker or somebody read it and give you some, some pointers or catch mistakes. Okay. All right. So once again, we're going to ignore the formatting. The formatting is messed up because I converted it over from a PDF to .doc and didn't take the time to mess around with it. But let's just go over this. So they said that they are a desktop support specialist for VIP. And there was other stuff in here too. I removed it. I just wanted to take time to look at one of these to get so you can get an idea of how to do this. All right. So let's see. They're at Mark II, Department of Aerospace. I made all this stuff up. This is not real. So, and then maybe it would have it'd have a date here somewhere, right, of when they worked there. But let's get into the meat of this. Utilized Active Directory to provide users account unlocks, password resets, added user. See, this is a run-on sentence. Oh man, this man, you got to have people look at this. All right, so here's how I would do this. I would say provided crucial identity and authentication services to I'm thinking of a really good keyword here that I want to use here. I am identity and access management. That's what I was looking for. I am provided. Let's get rid of this fluff word here. Provided identity and access management. IAM. This is a service that a lot of people are looking for. I can show you here. If I go to LinkedIn, let's go to LinkedIn real quick. Wow, this is slow internet, man. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. My internet is horrible. I mean, it is extra bad today. Anyway, while that's coming up, provided identity and access management IAM services to Who do we provide them to? Let's see. To Department of Aerospace. Now, obviously, I made this up, but whatever department. The reason why I put Department of Defense or Department of Justice or Department of whatever is because that's showing that these people entrusted you, the Department of Aerospace, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of whatever, right? They entrusted you with their Active Directory services. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So you weren't just any desktop service specialist, right? So this is a big deal. Provided identity and access management (IAM) services to. And let me show you real quick why I put IAM in here. Once LinkedIn comes up. All right, and this is my real profile on LinkedIn, by the way. This is real time information you're seeing here. IAM. So IAM, identity, access, if I could spell, identity, access. Look, see that? You see this? This is a keyword. See how I'm typing it and then it autofills it for me. So people are looking for IAMs, or identity access management. And you can see it, identity management access, Deloitte. Deloitte's a huge financial entity in the U.S. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you that that's a real keyword there, so you want to use that. We'll get to access. I'll use Active Directory in a second here. Provided identity and access management services to the Department of Defense, Department of Aerospace, to Department of Aerospace unit, whatever the unit is, right? Whatever the unit to. Okay, you know what? Let's be specific. To 3.3 to over 3,000. And I don't know how many people you've done, but I'm sure it's a lot, right? To over 3,000 users within the department. That's one thing you could put. Or, you know what? I got a better way to put this. We could say something like provided identity and access management services for the Department of Aerospace, period. Servicing. Oh, let's get to the impact now. Now we're going to talk about, we talked about what you did, but now let's talk about impact. Let's fix this thing real quick. For Department of Aerospace, servicing over 3,000 users using Microsoft Access. You could just put Active Directory. Active Directory. Well, actually, let's put Microsoft Active Directory to unlock, reset, create, and delete users. Servicing over 3,000 using to unlock, reset, create, and delete users. So let me break this down for you. So why did I do it like this? So yours, the first sentence was a run-on sentence, and it's not really taking advantage of all the stuff that this person has done, and also it's missing a lot of keywords here. So what I did was I made sure that this person put in the appropriate keyword, and then I put the impact. Very important. Not only what you did, but the impact of what you did is equally important, right? And I'm going to bulletize it. So provided identity and access management IAM services for the Department of Aerospace. Boom. So this is showing how important this is. I mean, this is for the Department of Aerospace, right? Or Department of NSA, whoever, right? Servicing over 3,000 users. Now I'm being specific. I'm showing you impact by being very specific on what you've done, right? And I don't know how many it was, but I'm sure it was a lot. Or you want to calculate how many users did I do while I was there for a year? I was there for 8 months. How many did I do, right? You can quickly in your head come up with an estimate of how many you did. 3,000 users. That 3,000 users is showing the impact of what you did. You were a critical resource for them for that 8 months or that year that you were there, because you were probably one of, if they serviced 10,000 tickets that were servicing users, you did about a third of those. So that's a big deal. So we're showing impact by using numbers. Okay. And not only that, we're going to say, okay, using Microsoft Active Directory. Now, this is showing that you know how to use this specific technology, and it's using a keyword. And what did you do? You unlocked, you reset, you created, and deleted users, right? So there you go. So that's the kind of stuff you want to do. Now, you had other stuff in here. The person who wrote this had other stuff in here. They had that they put people in the correct groups and stuff like that. So this is a whole nother bullet statement. You could put a whole nother bullet statement talking about how you did help the organization with role-based access by making sure that the appropriate users were in the appropriate groups, and you did that to over 500 groups. Like, that's the kind of verbiage you want to put in there. That's the kind of breakdown you want to put in there. So I won't go on and on about this one. I do these from time to time to help people out with their resumes, just to kind of show like what I do personally on resumes. And I said I'd get back to this. On this one, I normally, if you're going to use this, it has to be hard hitting, right? It has to be, let me just show you. I'll just do a real quick example. This will be the last thing I do here. I do something like this. I'll do something like 10 years of experience in information technology. In the public and private sector. That's impact, immediate impact. It's showing a very big slice of what you've done. Now, this is the kind of stuff I do. I wanted to give them a bird's eye view of what my career is, who I am in this career, who it is that they're actually reviewing. Bird's eye view. That's what I do, and then I hit them with like some specifics, like over 5 years doing security compliance. This might not be you, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what I do in the top whenever I do summaries. Using frameworks such as NIST, risk management framework. Now, obviously, they're not a security compliance person, but you get the idea. So what they could do is put something like conducted, let me see, in their career path, they put something like information technology. This one's still good because it looks like they were in the public and private sector. But then instead of saying that they conducted 5 years of security compliance, they could probably say, something like 10 years of experience in information technology in the public and private sector, conducting conducting security, implementing security controls. So see, we're getting back to security. If you want to do security, you have to enhance, you have to put forward all the security things that you have done in your career. And if you've been in IT, you've done tons of security before. So it's not a stretch for you to say that you're an entry-level cybersecurity analyst. Private, public and private, implementing security features on critical systems. I don't know, something like that. You know, if you're going to put something on top, like put something like that, and then you probably want to put as many keywords in there as possible. That's what I do. But that's it. That's it for that one, guys. Let me see. I got some people in here. Interview is good to instead of the resume, like you said. Yeah. Somebody said, I just passed the Security Plus an hour ago. Going to purchase one of your courses. I'm a newbie in cybersecurity. Well, congratulations on Security Plus. That's a really good thing to put on your resume. Definitely will get some eyeballs. To make sure you put it on your LinkedIn. And like I've been saying here, make sure you highlight all the security things that you've done. All right, that's what you want to. Especially if you've been in IT for some time, put all of the security things that you've done for medium, small, and large organizations. All right. It's not like this person was saying, "Oh, well, I installed group policies. I made accounts." You got when you got to say what you did from a security perspective. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do. Like if you're trying to get in cybersecurity, highlight all the security things that you've done. All right. So I've got some other questions here and some people showing up here. Esther said, could you give an example of a time when you had to explain something complex or technical to a frustrated colleague, and how did you handle this delicate situation? That's actually a really good question. So this definitely happens from time to time, especially in my line of work. I can give you a specific example. There was a time when I was an information system security officer, and it's more policy oriented, right? It doesn't typically get complex or technical. But I worked with a team of other security compliance people, and our focus was mostly policy, the NIST policies, NIST 800, risk management framework, stuff like that. And every now and then we have to reach out to our other colleagues, other departments who are very technical. Like we had firewall people, we had network people, and the people who we talked to the most were network people, because we were on the network where we were was extremely it needed a lot of work security wise. It needed a lot of work because the federal government start really cracking down on things like HTTPS, and they start cracking down on they're just getting hacked a lot, right? It's getting volatile out there. It had just this storm of other countries attacking each other, right? It's happening right now, and that's what you're seeing. That's why all this news about all these countries, like what's happening is there's an information war going on right now. That's what's happening, and countries are taking any advantage that they can to pull other countries down a notch. So they're attacking infrastructure. They're attacking networks. So that's why the federal government is going crazy on locking down federal networks. And that's why places like pipelines and Target and all these other hospitals are getting taken out, right? Because they don't have the same level of scrutiny that, say, the Department of Defense does, or NASA, or whoever does, right? Because they've been getting attacked for years. NASA, Department of Defense, you name it. FAA, they've been getting attacked for years, and they're a huge target. So they had to learn the hard way years ago. And that's not to say they're not still getting attacked. They are, but now the hackers and state-sponsored cyber criminals are having to attack all these soft targets. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. So we had to, our security compliance team had to talk to this very technical group of network specialists. And one of my colleagues was not a very technical guy. And the other team would explain something technical to him, and he didn't understand. And he would come back with what's basically nonsense because he didn't understand what was going on. So I'd have to intervene and explain so I'd have to intervene and explain it, but it already had gone so far that they were attacking each other on email, which is not professional at all. And so they're already attacking each other because my colleague, who is the cybersecurity, the security compliance guy, who's not technical, keeps kind of repeating the policy, and the technical person is trying to explain, no, this is not how it works. This is why we cannot, this is not going to work. So then they stop talking to this guy and they start talking to me instead. And I said, okay, I get what you're saying. Now, in order for me to understand what the technical person was saying, I had to actually do some research. I actually had to go read and polish up on some of my old networking skills. And but your question is, how do you explain it to somebody who's non-technical? So this is one of the things I have to do a lot. So because as a cybersecurity person, especially if you're an ISO, if you're an information system security officer, if you're in a role like a information system security officer, and many other cybersecurity consulting jobs, this role is going to have you talking to the CIO, who's not usually super technical and wants things brief, like they want you to get to the point. And then you're having to talk to the managers, who are usually not super technical. Every now and then you get some brilliant freaking manager guy in there who has a CISSP and is super smart on, so you can't BS him or whatever. But then you have to also switch gears and talk to a technical person. And this is lost on some security compliance people. And that always surprises me that they're still in this field, that they haven't learned to communicate with people. What I normally do is I speak the language of the person I'm talking to. If it's the CIO, they want an executive summary. They don't want you to get in the weeds. It's actually not good to get in the weeds with the CIO unless they are asking you a specific question that is technical. Then you either answer the question if you can, or have a technical person right there by your side, ready for them to explain it. Right. Another thing I'll do is before a meeting with this person who is not technical, I will try to explain it like I'm teaching it, but not condescending, but explain it in plain English with no acronyms, like if you're explaining TCP/IP, right? That's basically the internet. So you don't want to say TCP/IP. You want to say internet connection. If they go in the weeds and say, well, what's the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, right? Then okay, you can go ahead and explain the differences between those two things, and that's a little bit technical. The fact that they know what HTTP and HTTPS is, and there's a difference between those two things, tells you right away, okay, this person has a different level of knowledge. But if they don't, you don't want to be spouting off all this TCP/IP as little as possible. So I try to speak to the audience in their language. If I'm speaking to a manager, you can get a little bit in the weeds with a manager, but they're usually thinking on operational terms. So you want to speak their language. If you're talking to a technical person, you want to speak their language. They're not a technical person isn't focused on policy, right? A lot of those guys think that policy is a waste of time. So you want to speak their language. You know, if they don't understand, like a lot of times the problem I have is not explaining to a non-technical person something that's technical. I usually don't have a problem with that because of this. I think it's because of this interaction right here. Because whenever I try to, a lot of times when I learn, I'm learning in such a way that I could explain it to someone else, and I don't feel like I've learned it until I could explain it to like 3 different levels of people. If that makes any sense, I need to be able to explain it to a technical person, so it doesn't look like I'm that I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to be able to explain it to a manager, and I need to be able to explain it to a layperson, like a CIO who may not know all this jargon, right? I need to explain it to those 3 levels of people. So what I do is whenever I learn something, I'm learning it so that I can explain it to someone else, because it's super important in cybersecurity. The number one thing is be patient. Be patient. Do not be condescending. And understand that everybody learns in a different way. Some people are not technical. And I think that a lot of times IT people, they think that they're the smartest person in the room. And so they'll talk down to a whole bunch of people who they feel are not on their level, right? That's the wrong attitude. Some cybersecurity policy guys, they walk around like they're cops, like they have a badge and they want to show their badge to everybody. And that's also not the right way to go about this. The way you want to speak to anyone is like you're on their team. When you speak as we, as us, as what we did, how can we do this? This is the way I understand it. Basically, you're putting that perspective in there. You're changing. When you shift that perspective, man, it has such an impact on people. They know that you're on their team, right? Even if you're an auditor, you can even do that if you're an auditor. So they know, look, I'm not here to get you. We're here to point out vulnerabilities so we can get this system better, so that we don't get attacked by some outside agency, right? We use that we. So don't be condescending, number one. You're not the smartest person in the room, right? Use different perspectives. Use we. Like, I'm on your team. Be patient. And realize that everybody has a different language based on their role. Not everybody has this language that we have. Like, you guys understand what I'm saying if I start talking about TCP/IP or networking or cybersecurity stuff or, hacking or whatever. You guys understand it, the people watching this, but we got to understand, like, most of the people we talk to don't understand any of this stuff, right? Don't understand any of it and don't want to take the time, don't have the time to understand it. Only need to know, hey, did you secure our system and how and when? When is it going to be done? How much money is it going to cost, right? They want to get to the point if it's a CIO or CEO. Okay, I think I answered that question. I hope that answered the question. That's my perspective on it, Esther. A little bit long-winded on that one. Hey, Navi, how are you doing? Andrew Wright says, no one wants to feel stupid. Once you've communicated respect, once you've communicated respect for the person's unique skill set, things get easier. Exactly, Andrew. That's exactly how I feel. It's respect. It's what it comes down to. Respecting the other person's their own level, right? They might be a program manager who's is on 3 or 4 different projects. Just because they don't know HTTPS or the FTP or SFTP or whatever, right? Doesn't mean that they're stupid. Like, approach them with respect, and they'll reciprocate that respect, and that right there. That word right there sums it up, Andrew. So thank you for that. Respect. That's the name of the game. So, all right. Let me see here. Tyrell says, is it possible to get an InfoSec role in policy risk management with government with no clearance? It is possible, Tyrell. It is possible, yes. But I can tell you it is difficult. Some of the people who have taken my course and have some IT experience, and they tell me they don't have a clearance, right? And they're in the DMV area. That's the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, and they're having a hard time getting a job because they don't have a clearance. It depends on location, I would say, but it's not impossible because there's different kinds of risk management jobs. Case in point, the current position that I'm at right now is all private. I don't do any direct work with state or federal, no public. And I do not, my job currently does not necessitate a security clearance. In my last job, to be honest with you, I did need a public trust clearance, but I did not need a secret clearance. So yes, to answer your question, is it possible to get a job with no clearance? It is. It's just more difficult because if you're doing the federal government, it's a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with a lot of times sensitive information. Now, if you don't have a clearance, but you do have policy risk management experience, and you're willing to work outside the government or government adjacent, meaning organizations that have a subcontract with larger organizations that do work with the government, meaning an example might be Lockheed Martin works directly with Department of Defense, for example. I've never worked with Lockheed Martin. I know people who work with them back in the past, but what I'm saying is you could work for an organization who has a subcontract with Lockheed Martin, and Lockheed Martin has a contract directly with whoever, right? And they might not need you to have a clearance. So that's one way that you could work for the federal government indirectly. Another thing you could do is work for a state. A lot of times state doesn't need a full SSBI type clearance. And then you can also get a public trust. As I mentioned before, I've had one before, much easier clearance to get, and I don't think you have to be a citizen I think you can be a green card holder, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there's other jobs you can get. So to answer your question, yes, it's possible. It's a little bit difficult to get it with the federal government, but I've seen it done before. You might want to consider some other policy type jobs there, and which there are some, by the way. Hospitals, for example, do need risk and policy type people. They're dealing with protecting people's sensitive healthcare information. Banks might need a public trust, but an IRS might need public trust, but not necessarily a security or top secret or secret clearance. So yeah, just giving you some examples, and I know there's some other organizations that will not require clearance but do need a risk management type person. The current job that I'm in, they require me to have extensive knowledge on risk management framework because it helps me to very clearly understand things like PCI and things like CIS and things like basically if you have one framework down, you can understand all the other frameworks, and a lot of the other frameworks don't need a top secret or secret clearance. So it's been pretty eye-opening to work in the private sector. Let me see here. Anyone going to Black Hat or DEF CON? Actually, the company that I work for, they allow me to go to Black Hat, but it looks like it's going to be online, so it's going to be virtual. So I'm not going to be. I don't think they're gonna. I'm not sure if they'll allow me to actually go to Nevada, Las Vegas, and partake in the DEF CON itself. So, but Black Hat looks like that's gonna happen online. AL says, how do you go from IT work study to cybersecurity? Should I get a cert and start at a SOC? I get this question so often, AO. I get this question so often. It's crazy. So how do you do it? Let me show you what I was just going through earlier in this. See if I can show you this here. I was working on somebody's resume who has the same kind of thing going on. So excuse the formatting. I transferred this from a PDF to this. That's why it looks like this. But I was walking them through this resume here. And this is a person who is an IT professional. They did desktop supports. They did IT technician and some other things that I actually deleted off of this. I changed this resume up so that I could, not expose somebody's real information. So what they did, what you want to do to answer your question, especially if you've been in IT for some time, is you want to rewrite your resume, right? You probably want to just do a separate resume, and that's kind of what we're doing here. What I did here was I started to enhance all the security things that this person has done, right? Even though their role has only been IT or technician or desktop support or whatever, right? You have done tons of security stuff, but you just have to put it on your resume. So you want to redo your resume, like a whole nother version of your resume, and start off with all your security features. This person has a security plus. Put it right up top, right by your name. It's not a stretch for you to actually put what you want to do, right? Now, if you have not done any IT before, and your previous job was a CNA, a certified nursing technician, or something like that, you probably couldn't put this in here. I mean, you couldn't get away with saying you're an entry-level cybersecurity analyst, right? Because you've never done any kind of IT, cybersecurity stuff, let alone IT. But this person has. So they've done IT before, and they've actually worked with tons of different cybersecurity tools. So they're listing those things here. So what you want to do is you want to put all the cybersecurity stuff that you've done in your career. That's what you want to do. Starting from the top, going all the way down, you want to highlight all the cybersecurity stuff you've done. So here I provided identity and access management, IAM services. This is a key word in cybersecurity. They're looking for this, right? This person's done it. Services for the Department of Aerospace, servicing 3,000 users using Microsoft Active Directory to unlock, reset, create, and delete users. There you go. Boom. And then that's the kind of stuff you want to highlight. If you've changed passwords, if you've done role-based access type work, you've done all the stuff, but you have to make sure you put it on your resume, right? If you've updated vulnerabilities, gotten rid of patched systems, or if you've updated Microsoft, all of those things are security things that you want to put on your resume. So redo your resume, write it as a cybersecurity resume, highlight all of the security stuff you've done over the years. If you want some tips on where to find things that are considered cybersecurity or information security, whatever, information assurance, whatever, you can go to the NIST 800. Let me see if I can show you this. NIST 800. Let's see if I have it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There's if you've heard of the CIS or the ISO 27000, all of those have it. But there's a breakdown of best security practices that all of us do. Excuse me. In IT, all of us have done these things, and so I just want to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. And once you see it, the light bulb should go on for you of all the things that you've done as far as security is concerned. Okay, here it is right here. NIST 800 family of controls. The name of the game is security controls, right? And so what you're looking at here are security controls. You've done these. If you're in IT, you have done these things. So you've done access control before. You've done security awareness training. You've done audit and accountability. Audit and accountability is looking at logs, turning logs on, enabling logs on Windows systems, on Linux systems. You've done that before. Media protection. Media protection. That's like you're at the job and somebody has an external hard drive, and you're making sure that it's encrypted, or you're making sure that it's labeled properly, or you're making sure that people don't bring their own media to work. Things like that. Physical and environmental protection. If you've ever participated in creating a visitor's log, or made sure that the restricted areas at your organization had a visitor's log, that right there is security compliance. You can put that on the resume. If you've ever done a physical security check, if you ever had to walk around an area to make sure the doors are locked, to make sure the security cameras are on, that's also physical security. That's a physical security assessment, actually. Another risk assessment, if you've ever helped with or done a risk assessment to make sure, that's basically running a scan. If you've ran a vulnerability scan and had to compile that into a report that you then had to give to somebody in your organization, that's something you want to put on your resume. These are all things that you want to put on your resume. And just the list goes on and on. There's tons of stuff. If you're an IT person, the opportunity is golden right now for you, because we really need cybersecurity people, and there's not enough of us doing this job right now. And I mean, I'm sure you see it on the news, man. People are just organizations are getting annihilated right now because there's not enough of us, and it's just pretty crazy. All right, hope that answers your question. Anyone going to Black Hat this weekend? Is anybody? That's a good question. Is anybody going to Black Hat? Anybody? I got 13 people watching. Anybody going to Black Hat or DEF CON? If you didn't know, Black Hat and DEF CON is an annual cybersecurity and hacking type event where they focus entirely on information security, all the stuff we're talking about here, but they go in greater details, huge detail. So it's a huge event. Let me just bring it up real quick. It's really fun. If you've never done it before, I would definitely encourage you to check it out. I've never been to Black Hat before, actually. I've been to DEF CON a couple times, and that is it's an eye opener. It's actually pretty terrifying, to be honest with you. It's terrifying how unsecure. How do I put this? That we as a society put so much of our information out there freely, and how much of it is completely unprotected. It's terrifying. And then the people that go to DEF CON are people who actively look for vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the systems that we put all of our sensitive information on these systems. And there's all of these very clever people who do nothing all day but try to infiltrate. And not all of them are criminal hackers, right? That was another misconception that I had. Like when I went the first time, before I went, like I had this misconception that there's going to be nothing but criminal hack. There were criminal hackers there, by the way. It was terrifying, but absolutely terrifying. But for the most part, most of the people there were just doing it as a hobby. They find vulnerabilities, and then they actually would report it to Cisco or to Microsoft or to Linux or Red Hat or whoever, right? The problems were the organizations themselves. The very big surprising thing for me wasn't that people hack, right? For me, the biggest eye opener was that organizations who we entrust all of our information to, our personal information, our banking information, don't do more to protect their users. That was the biggest eye opener for me. And the pushback that some of these organizations were doing, literally attacking some of the hackers. Like the hacker would find a vulnerability. There was a big one for Cisco, for example. Cisco at the time, this was years ago. This is many years ago, and I'm sure it's been fixed. I mean, it's been fixed because it was huge. Cisco had this huge hole in their operating system. And Cisco, that's important because a lot of the U.S.'s infrastructure runs on Cisco is the routers and switches. Basically, it's the hub. It's all the nodes of the internet. It's the hubs, all of the interconnection of the internet, everything is based off of routers and switches. And so they had an operating system on these things that's based loosely off of Linux at the time. And it had a huge hole in it. And these security, professional cybersecurity people found the hole, and they reported it directly to Cisco and said, hey, Cisco, you guys should fix this. And Cisco first ignored them and then told them to shut up. And yeah, it got very ugly from there. I mean, they eventually fixed it, but there's a lot at stake, because if an organization like Oracle or Cisco or Microsoft, if a hole is found and they don't report it in time or seem like they're trying to hide it, I mean, that could really cost them billions of dollars, right? I mean, that can cost them everything. Their whole organization's based off of this. So it would, the right thing for them to do would be to immediately respond and fix that item and tell everybody, hey guys, hey, all of our users, we have this issue here. We're working on a fix, or we've already fixed it. Here's the patch, and then send it out. Kind of like SolarWinds did. SolarWinds got hit, and they immediately did a press release, and then they started fixing it, right? I don't know if you heard about that, but SolarWinds got hacked, where somebody hijacked their supply chain. So they had this site that they would put updates on this site. And so what the hackers did was they went on the site and they replaced their next update with a Trojan. And then when all of their customers went to go get that update, they had a Trojan, and it got uploaded to everyone. So, but what SolarWinds did was they immediately stopped what they were doing, told everybody, hey, this is what's going on. We're fixing it right now. We're working on it. Make sure you don't use this patch. Take it, uninstall it. And then they got to work on it. So that's the right thing to do. It cost them millions of dollars, but at least they took action. Anyway, DEF CON is incredible. If you have a chance to go, man, it's definitely worth at least checking out, and just make sure you, if you can, like, don't bring a laptop. If you do, like, lock it down, like have a firewall on it. Make sure nothing you have is in promiscuous mode. Secure everything. Encrypt your data, everything, man. Because when I was there, they were hacking people in the hotels, and they found a dude doing his taxes there. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. And they just spend the whole time, 3 days, just hacking each other. Hacking anyone, anything that moves, they were hacking it. Just to show, basically it's like security awareness, but aggressive security awareness. Like it's like no other security awareness training you'll ever get. Like normally in the organization, they'll sit you down and they'll say, okay, make sure that if you get a suspicious email, don't click on those links. At DEF CON, they're gonna find a way for you to click on that link. And then they're going to teach you a lesson by putting your name on a giant wall, a wall of shame that they're going to show to everyone. It was incredible. It was an incredible thing that I want to do it again one of these days, because it made you realize that you're not safe. And that's I'd kind of rather know. It's one of those things that you'd rather know. I personally would rather know if I'm not safe, if I'm not really safe, right? But most people get caught off guard and they get their information stolen or whatever, and they just didn't know, right? And I think it's better to know and try to be proactive rather than reactive. It's just my take on it. Let me see. They're hobbyists more than anything. Yes, exactly, AO. It's a lot of hobbyists there. It's not all there are some criminal hackers there, though. It's pretty scary. But there's also federal government people there. There's NSA is there, CIA is there, FBI is there. They did this thing called Spot the Fed, because the people from the federal government, from all branches of the military, from all three letter agencies, they're there hiding in plain sight. It's not like they're in there with suits or with their military uniform, right? Unless they're there to speak or something, or they're there as a team or something to partake in one of the games, because they have capture the flag games and stuff. Anyway, they go there and they dress like everyone else, so you wouldn't know that this person works for the NSA or the CIA or whatever. You wouldn't know it. So they had this game called Spot the Fed, where they try to guess that people in the audience, I don't know if they still do that, who in the audience were actual federal agents. And the federal agents, like, a lot of times they'd be recruiting people, right? If there was a talented hacker there or something, they would try to recruit you to work for them. It's freaking crazy. Like, at least when I went there, it was amazing, terrifying, but also amazing. It's like something out of a movie. Thanks for everything you do, brother. Gotta go. You've got my sub. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Esther says, what are some of the techniques used to prevent web server hacks? I'm really not, that's not really my skill set. That being said, I've been hacked several times. I've been hacked several times. What I would say from personal experience, from being hacked, I know a little bit of something about this. Make sure you update Apache or whatever web service you're using. If you're using IIS, make sure it's always updated to the latest and greatest vendor level, the vendor's recommended upgrade, right? So if it's Apache, if it's IIS, don't use legacy stuff and patch it immediately. If you're using something like WordPress, again, use the latest one. The way that hackers have gotten into my WordPress is because I didn't update the plugins. Yeah, I didn't update the plugins. AO is saying a web firewall. Yep, that works in a large or medium, large organizations. Web firewall works. AO, what web firewall would you recommend? And AO says web balancers, like a F5 web balance, load balancers also work. A proxy, reverse proxies also work. There's a lot of different ways. Another thing I would say is on a web server, only use the principle of least functionality. What that means is only open ports that you need, right? A lot of times organizations, what they do is they just they install it, they put it out there, develop some app out there for customers to sign their stuff up. And then the web server has 1,000 different ports open. You want to make sure that only the ports, protocols, and services that you need, the principle of least functionality, only use what you need, only allow users on the back end, only allow the administrators and users that need to go on the back end of that system. If they don't need it, kick them off. If the ports aren't needed, if the services aren't needed, get rid of it. Also do scans regularly on your web services. So if you are in a large organization, contact me directly. I might have something with the organization I work for that we might be able to help you on that. Esther says, explain the concept of least privilege and separation of duties. Oh, least privilege means only allow only give users what they need to do their jobs. And then when you give them what they need to do their jobs, like of course you have to give them a user account, right? And a password, all that kind of stuff. But you only allow them access to the folders that they need to do their job. Now, you don't want to restrict them too much, because if you do, they can't do their job, obviously. Or you restrict them so much that it's hard for them to do their job. I'm not saying make it hard for them to do their job. I'm saying only give them access to what they actually need. Don't give everybody admin privileges. A lot of organizations do that. Don't do that. Only give them what they need. You should have very few administrators. And those administrators should only have access to what they need. That's it. Separation of duties has to do with making sure that your system administrator, the guy who's maintaining the web server, is not the same person as the system security analyst who has to look at the logs. If they're the same person, then the system administrator could do something weird, awkward, or give themselves more privileges and then delete the logs and do whatever they want. So you want to have, at the very least, 2 different accounts that monitors those 2 different functions. One is a person who is doing the management of your web services, and another person or another organization, another unit, someone else who looks at the logs. That's separation of duties, so that one person can't get in there, do some stuff as an administrator, and then delete the logs and roll out, right? And then say, oh, somebody hacked our system. I wonder who it could be, and then you can't trace it because the logs are deleted. So yeah, that's separation of duties. That's a very important concept in the NIST 800, and it's also an important concept in the CIS, in the ISO 27001, which is an international standard. And basically it's a best security practice that is practiced at all organizations should do it, but especially large ones. Okay, I hope that made sense. Alex says, just tuning in. Want to say thank you for what you do. Your content helped me to get a job as an information system security manager. Are you serious? Damn, that's great, man. Congrats, by the way. Congratulations. I'm always glad to help. So we were just talking about the DEF CON, and I was just saying it's a really great experience. If you get a chance to go, especially if your organization will pay for it, go. It's only like, really, I think it's only like $600 to get in. It's not very expensive to get into the DEF CON. When I went, it was like $300. It wasn't very expensive. All right, guys, I'm gonna end this one. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you guys. I will continue to do content. Maybe I'm gonna try to do one tomorrow too, because these lives are pretty helpful.